Hello everyone, welcome back to our tutorial on how to use HTTP interceptors in Angular 17 with standalone components. Let's delve into how to use HTTP interceptors in standalone Angular components. We will need to set up a basic Angular 17 project. This time we will focus on standalone components. We will use the bootstrap application function from the Angular core to bootstrap our application and provide HTTP client function from the Angular/common/HTTP to provide the HTTP client. So for that, open your project. I already have created one, so just open the app.config. So this file was auto-generated by Angular when I created a new project, and in the providers array we need to add a function provide HTTP client, and within that use with interceptors and pass it an array, and within that array you may pass one or more than one interceptors. Right now we don't have any interceptor. We will create one shortly. So in standalone Angular components we can use functional interceptors instead of class-based interceptors. Functional interceptors are functions that take an HTTP request and HTTP handler function as a parameter. So let's quickly create a new interceptor. For that we have a command, CLI command ng generate interceptor, and the name of the interceptor I will use logger as the name of this interceptor, and with that the interceptor file has been created, and you can see now it has generated a functional interceptor for us. You can write any kind of complex logic whatever you want to, but I will simply add console.log request is on its way to, let me add template string, okay, request.url. Now it's time to inject our logger interceptor. So I have added my logger interceptor in the HTTP client. Now whenever we will use HTTP client, it will use this interceptor. So now let's quickly make an HTTP call and see if that works. So for that, here in the app component.ts file, I will inject my HTTP client. For that, we have a new method to inject. Earlier we used to inject with the help of constructor, but now we can inject any service by using the inject function. So let's do that. HTTP is equal to inject, and here I will add HTTP client. Okay, now once we have the access to the HTTP, I can create a constructor or create any function, and that constructor will immediately send the get request to this endpoint, and this will give us the list of users. Let's try it. Okay, go to the inspect element. Look at that. It has given us the array of users that came from this API response, and we are consoling that. But before doing that HTTP request, we are seeing this console message in our console that request is on its way. Basically this console message was printed in the logger interceptor before the HTTP request went through. In this way you can intercept the HTTP request. So this was a very simple way to demonstrate, but I will give you a little bit advanced example. So for example, let's suppose we have an endpoint or we have an API where we have to provide the authorization token every time. So instead of adding the headers in every HTTP call manually in your components or in your services, we can just create an interceptor, and in your interceptor you can, in that common place, you will just include the headers for those tokens once, and it would be included in all of your HTTP requests every time whenever you will send HTTP requests. So for example, this is how you would do it. You will create a clone of the request that is going to be sent to the server. So for that I will create const auth request is equal to request.clone. So this is how you can clone a request, HTTP request, and now I will give it some additional data that I want to attach. So for example, in the headers I want to add this headers.set. So in this way it will not replace the headers, but it will add additional data to those to the existing headers. So here I will add authorization, and here I will add barrier. So you can get this token from the local storage or from wherever you want. So once you got the token, you can pass it to the, you can add it here, and you can, this would be sent to the HTTP request. So now let's use this request, HTTP request, instead of the original one. Now let's try. I will reload it and I will look into the HTTP request, and you should see the header that we just included. So this is the request header section, and here if you scroll down you will see that authorization bearer the token. If you make a change you will see that as well, like this. Okay, so in this example we are basically cloning the original request and adding an authorization header to it and passing it on to the next handler. Now let's look at the practical example of using functional interceptor in standalone component. Suppose we want to handle errors globally in our application. We can do this by creating an error interceptor. So for that we have to generate another interceptor, ng generate interceptor, and the name of the interceptor is error. Press enter. This would generate the interceptor, but we have to register that interceptor as well, like we did before. Let's do that. Okay, so in this way you can use multiple interceptors very easily. Now let's go to the error interceptor, and now we will pipe it, and we will use RxJS operators in this pipe function, catch error. So this will catch all of the errors before we do anything else. So I will pass it callback function, and at the end we need to return the throw error function, and within that you have to pass a callback function with the error that you just got. But before that we can do a lot of things. So for example, you can check if we have 401 or 403 in the status of the error. If the current error has any of these error codes, then we will do something here, like we can show the console unauthorized request, or if you have a service for the authentication you can use it to log out immediately user, because user has not permission for that. So you can use maybe account service.logout like this. Okay, so in the outside of the if block you can use const error is equal to error.message or status text. So in this way I will get the text message that I want to print in the console. Okay, now let's try it quickly. So I will go to the app.component, and here I will make it incorrect. So for example, let's add anything random in the URL and let's try it. Okay, now you can see we have the error 404. So in the error interceptor, instead of this one, I can just use the 404 error here, and this time you will see the console not found like this, and then you will be able to see the error through this line of code. If I comment it, then you will see that that error was not consoled. But if you uncomment it again, and then you will see this error message here. Alright, in this tutorial we have covered how to use HTTP interceptors in standalone Angular components in Angular 17. We have seen how to create functional interceptors and how to use them to handle errors globally in our application. I encourage you to experiment with these concepts in your own projects. I hope that this video was useful for you. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified for my upcoming videos, and also please like and share this video. If you have any questions or feedback or suggestions, then please leave them in the comment section. I will try my best to answer them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. See you next time.